What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the 5280 podcast on the MHRT network. I am your host, as always, Mundungus Creamy, joined by Cameron Parker Pooh and the lovely old geriatric man at East End, 4:30 at night, Bronco Bill.
Don't make me choke.
Filling in for, well, I was going to say he's filling in for Glenn because they're close in age, but we're going to go like the youngest in Gage to the oldest in Bill. So we get the complete opposite. Like Gage isn't even thinking about dinner yet, and Bill's already had it.
No, actually, I'm eating it right now. It's I smoked some ribs the other day, and then I just warmed them up today.
Well, how's everybody doing before we get into this show?
Doing quite well. Survived the Monday, made it to Tuesday. I got actually word due to the fact that I work for KSC. I actually got word of the Avalanche and Nuggets deal with Comcast on altitude. I actually got word of that yesterday at about 2:00, and it sounded like they agreed to it about a month ago. So exciting times, the Nuggets and Avs and Mammoth and Rapids, of course. The two other teams that we all care about are back. They're on altitude. So we and Comcast, I should say. So
all right. So since you brought up the Nuggets, I mean, obviously it doesn't have anything to do with the Nuggets except for Doncic and Jokic were close and goofed around with each other. But what are you thinking about this whole Doncic trade from the Mavs to the Lakers? Like the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
The funniest thing was seeing Schefter try to make up this what it actually could symbolize, probably like in NFL terms, and he's like basically saying how it's like involving like the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens, and it's like, dude, like they're in the same division. The Mavericks and the Lakers are not even in the same division. Like it would be almost like a Josh Allen type of trade, and so it was wild. And it's one where I think it's one of the reasons why, if you are running a very capable business, always involve your star players or top employees in everything that you're doing, whether or not you want to move on from them or not. Like it was just so wild to see everything. And then obviously, and I don't know if the rumors are true, but like the stuff that's, circulating about we're going to trade him because he's fat. Like just picture a world like 2.5 years ago when it went down with Nikola Jokic, right? When he was overweight and everything like that, Josh Kroenke and, I think it was probably Connolly maybe at that point in time, are going, straight to Jokic and saying, Jokic, we don't appreciate the fact that you are 350 pounds. We would love it if you are actually 100 pounds less and, maybe a little bit less than 300, because if not, we're going to trade you. It's just so wild to me.
I heard it was preposterous. Why would you even make that trade? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. You're going, ace for ace or whatever, and I don't understand. I mean, are the Lakers trying to be the Yankees, or are they trying to be the Dodgers, or what?
They're not going to win anyways. It's the Lakers. They won't win until LeBron's gone.
But also the Lakers are always going to be the Lakers.
True.
But like the fact that the Mavs head coach didn't know, like Kidd didn't know what was going on. Doncic didn't know. AD didn't know. Like the coach of the Lakers, like nobody knew except the GM of the Mavs, and then the GM and the owner of the Lakers. Like the owner of the Mavs didn't even know.
Yeah, that's just it doesn't make any sense.
It's like
something's wrong.
It's like to the extra degree of like, when you hear players like they find out they were traded or cut, like just one trade, like from said player that they were, cut or whatever, and they find out on social media. This is like everybody involved.
This is the Broncos equivalent to the Doncic trade.
Cortland Sutton for Cooper Kupp.
No, it'd be probably centered on Bo.
Yeah, you'd be looking at like Bo for
probably like
you got to go with salty veteran. It can't be
Yeah. So
Josh Allen.
That's what I
No.
was thinking.
no, it would actually be like who's a vet?
No. It can't be Bo because you got to have some veterans. So it'd be like trading PS2
There you go.
for
Tre'Davious White.
yeah, either that. I was gonna say who's the one on the Cowboys.
Oh yeah, Trayvon Diggs.
Dinner.
Yeah, Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah.
You
It'd
guys
be like that.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Just eating food. You old man. Oh, interesting.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, but I think it'd be like PS2 from Trayvon Diggs. I think that's what it would be like.
But something like
Which
that.
would be
You know,
awful.
but something like that, like a corner, or maybe even, and it wouldn't even actually just be, maybe even like a corner, but it would be
Yeah,
like,
he's gotta eat. It wasn't. He started before it was 5 o'clock.
actually, he's a free agent, but like it would almost be like a corner being traded for like a wide receiver too.
Thanks, Ram.
But like anything that's like a savvy vet, so like PS2 for like a Stephon Diggs, right? I know he's a free agent, but it's just like it would be something like
Oof.
that, you know?
I don't like it.
Yeah.
So before we
And also for limited draft capital too, because like that's the thing. It was the other part that was so comedic.
yeah, they didn't get a first until like 2029.
Yeah. So like the only team that actually made out like a bandit was a separate trade, and that was the Kings because they had like so many draft capital. But
And then, did you see the Mavs after they made the trade? Like all of their starters have been sitting because they've been hurt. And so they just got they allowed who was it? The Cavs to score 50 points in the first period.
and granted, the Cavs are really good this year, but no, yeah, they scored
50 points.
They had
in the first
90.
quarter?
They had 90 points before half.
Yeah, that is just it's
Unreal.
old.
Unreal.
That's a 2K. That's a 2K halftime score.
Yeah. Has anybody been watching the Pro Bowl games? I don't. I have not. I don't
Not-
care.
But wait a minute. How about Peyton Manning's son throwing bombs to receivers? That guy's got an arm, man.
Now we
think
know
about
who
that?
we need to go after in 10 years.
Just means he'll be the replacement for Bo.
There you go.
But on top of that, not only did I not watch anything about the Pro Bowl, Bo Nix didn't want to go to the Pro Bowl neither. Neither did Quinn Miners.
Well, he was hurt. He got.
So
got.
it
some,
doesn't matter. He still didn't go.
Yeah.
True.
But like you look at the Pro Bowl, and it's gotten to the point where you have Drake May and Russell Wilson being the starters in the Pro Bowl because nobody wants to go.
I loved I loved Miner's quote. Like it needs to be framed and like put in the office of the locker room. But like when you say, I'm not there to be someone's replacement.
Mhm.
You know, like that quote like needs to be put in the office, you know, right near the Bo leave. Not believe, but Bo leave. You know, right, you know, above the what is it, the area where
Do
they
you
walk out.
believe in magic? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Graham, I
Copyright.
need someone to explain to me what the difference between salary cap and the owners have money because I've never understood it for the life of me.
I think he's talking about the difference between like cash and, you know, so you have like the cash side of things,
Right.
and then you have
Which is like guarantees.
right, and that's
And my
why
assumption is guarantees don't count against salary cap.
yeah, and so basically when you have the term owners have money, it's meaning that the owners and anybody within the probably the financial department and salary cap is like it's all centered on the cash part of things. Like whenever someone says like owners have money or whatever, that's probably what I would venture to guess that's what it.
So I'm gonna make it as easy as possible, and I'm probably gonna get it wrong. And if I do, just let me know. But like, let's say you have the offer is $80 million.
Mm-hmm.
You pay him $60 million in cash up front and a guarantee, right?
Yeah.
Only $20 million is going to count against the salary cap.
Yeah, and then the salary cap is like the amount of money that you can never exceed, right? Like for a given year, and that's
Right.
why it's so hilarious because you know when people
Except for
talk
Denver.
about like when people talk about like the Saints and how much they're in basically debt in salary cap hell, it means that they're like 35 or what was it, like 50 million plus in salary cap hell, in terms of like minus 50, which means they're well below their salary cap floor. So yeah, so it's just basically like you can never exceed a certain number.
Right, and the cool part about our current owners is they can be like, hey, you come to the Broncos, you can have this Walmart in Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's is right. Now your Walmart. You can
and it'll
have
be named
it,
after you.
You own it. You get the profit from it. It's yours now. So. It's like Oprah. You get a Walmart. You get a Walmart. You get a Walmart.
I like that because that's what I said. Let's get Cooper Kupp. Now, my problem with that, and I mentioned this a little earlier, when we were talking about, tick for tack kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I don't want to give up Cortland Sutton for Cooper Kupp.
You're never
There's got to be somebody else, but Cooper Kupp is going to be traded.
It's not going to be.
Yeah, but Cooper Kupp's not for a player. It's for like a second-round pick.
Yeah.
Well, do you think Denver should make a move?
Absolutely.
And
that was one of the things that we were going to get into, because you have two massive announcements about players who want to be traded. First, you had Myles Garrett that is asking to be traded out of the Browns. And now you have the Rams saying we're trading Cooper Kupp. Not Cooper Kupp saying I want to get traded. The Rams saying we want to immediately trade Cooper Kupp.
And actually, it was basically like a collective agreement. Like Kupp agreed, the Rams agreed. Like I would say that when you look at it from the vantage point, like you're never going to have this particular trade. And given with where he is at his age, it's not going to be a player involved in this trade. In fact, because he's a little over 30, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if it's not even a second-round pick. Like you're probably talking if it's been a collective agreement, right? A collective agreement, there's a chance where you're probably talking maybe a fourth-round pick or something.
Well, let me ask you this, Cam and Madugas. Cooper Kupp said he wanted to be a Ram for life. Do you think this was blindsided?
So did Von Miller.
Well, true. But okay, so my question is this. Why would the Rams all of a sudden want to get rid of Cooper Kupp, who is one of their best receivers? That's almost like getting rid of Travis Kelce. Oh, that's right. The Chiefs are thinking about cutting him because of salary.
Hello.
For a second, I thought it was Stan Kroenke calling Bill because, in talking about like, hey, that's not true. That's not true.
Calm down.
That's not true.
No, but, and
that was good coincidence.
I was excited to talk to Gage tonight because I saw his videos on Broncos Syndicate about the going after which player. And I, like, in my head, it's like, why would you not want to pair Myles Garrett and Zach Allen and Nick Bonito and Cooper? You know what I'm saying?
But the thing is like,
but it's going to take like 2 first-round picks to get him,
or maybe a player
minimum.
Then why not do it? I mean, we've done it before. Obviously, we mortgaged a farm with Russell Wilson. That was a catastrophe. So why would you not do this? Because these are more guaranteed.
I just think that it's a little bit more risky when you're involving Garrett and the amount of return, whereas Cooper Kupp, you're definitely talking about it where it's a far more reasonable type of trade. And not saying, edge depth isn't a need, because you can certainly, it's like corners. You can never have too many edge players. But like, is edge really, overall that much of a need to where you certainly would want Myles Garrett? My thing about the Myles Garrett thing is actually more that, well, okay, so now that Myles Garrett has seemed to be asked for a trade, I'm starting the phone call with that, because that's what the right person would do. Start the phone call with that, and then immediately take that phone call and redirect it to David Njoku. Because what does that mean for David Njoku as a possible trade candidate? So like that's kind of like how I would start it, is like you first start it centered on Myles Garrett, and then you redirect it to maybe some of the other players. And frankly, I know he signed a contract, but if they're going to be selling off Garrett, what does that mean for any of the other players that are, on that defense, like Jockstrap, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, so like, what does it mean for those guys?
I had to think about that one for a minute.
That's why I chuckled.
Jockstrap.
But
for me, okay, so looking at it this way though, right? Like, I know that Myles Garrett is at a position that is not a need for the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
But the part that I love is that we are now at the point in the rebuild where we don't have to go after need because we can afford luxury.
Yeah.
Like, we have the cap space, we have the draft capital, we have the wallet to go get who we want, not who we need. So why not make a play for a Myles Garrett?
Yeah, and I think that's probably
especially with the edge rush rotation that we have, the room that we, because now the problem with Myles Garrett and the Browns is that if Myles Garrett came off the field, they would just get smoked. He could never come off the field. In Denver, it's the opposite. We have a rotation. You can rest during some of these plays in football games because we don't need you out there every single play.
Yeah. I just think that for me, it's like, it's more of a luxury, but I also think that when you look at it from, he was trolling. But I just think that when you look at from the overall positional standpoint, like it feels like a luxury. I agree with you.
We already had him.
I agree with you though, that like once now that we're in that window because it's been jump started.
Sam Hartman.
Screw that. But like, now
he made it farther in the playoffs than Bo.
He didn't do squat. He basically
doesn't matter. He made it farther.
He earned an A+ on his project for doing nothing.
Good.
Bobby Brister
just sitting there looking beautiful. That's all he had to do.
But no, I just think that when you look at it from like the standpoint of like, yeah, they have a luxury to certainly do that. It's just you also have to be certainly like smart with what you want to do. And I don't know if it's smart, at least at that point, to go out and actually get a Myles Garrett. I mean, I'm not saying that's basically like saying like, no, I don't want Myles Garrett, because I would love to have a Myles Garrett.
All right, I hate to interject. Let me ask you, Ken, while you're on that subject. First off, why would Myles Garrett demand a trade or release? And why would the Cleveland Browns want to take anything less than maximum of what they can get?
Two words.
The Browns are balloons. The Browns are, I would say, officially in a rebuild. Like, you have to be. You don't have a quarterback. You're losing wide receivers. You're going to lose your tight end. You've got a running back, you think. And
maybe
why would Myles Garrett want to be part of a rebuild when he can go to the Lions or, you know what I'm saying?
Why wouldn't Cleveland demand the maximum amount?
Well, the Cleveland Browns have been in the rebuild mode for like the last 50 years. Okay.
Right. But with Garrett demanding a trade, now it has to become official now. Like, your best player, probably maybe ever, is leaving. Like, he wants out. He's had enough.
Well, and what's at least noteworthy, and I'm not saying he's gonna stay, or that he'll be traded, but like, this has happened before where I don't think.
Thanks, babe.
I don't think that Joe Thomas asked for a trade, but I do think that like there was a moment, and this is nice Broncos content. There was a moment where Joe Thomas was supposed to be a Denver Bronco. I think he said this on his podcast. Like, he was supposed to be a Denver Bronco for Shaquille Barrett. That trade fell through, and he stayed
Was it a fax machine thing?
Might have been, but like, but no, it was one where like he was going to be like a Denver Bronco, but it fell through, and he ended up staying with the Browns his entire career. That could happen with Myles Garrett. That said, the best thing for his career is to be leaving that toxic Jimmy Haslam organization. Like, so I just, and whether that's, reuniting with his, I was gonna say college teammate, but they never play together. But like, playing with Von Miller at Buffalo.
What?
Background music provided to you by Madungus Creevy.
Sorry.
So.
It's all good. Sorry, Cam, I didn't mean to.
And I don't want to make it all about the Browns, but you have to look at the Browns organization and kind of be like, WTF, right? Like,
and laugh.
Sean Watson contract was awful. Mm-hmm. Like, That ruined everything. And then you let go of Joe Flacco. And while I'm not a big Joe Flacco fan, he was the best quarterback on the roster last year.
Same thing happened this year. Same thing happened possibly with Jameis, yeah.
Right? Like, he was the best quarterback on the roster, and you benched him, and now you're moving on from him. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Like, your draft picks aren't, I mean, some of them are hitting, maybe one or two, but, like, hitting for them is not hitting for the Broncos, right? Like, we're not talking like a Nick Bonito type hitting. Like, we're talking like our rookies are like their third-year players. You know what I'm saying?
And what's funny is, like, the players that more often than not hit for Cleveland are the defensive side of the ball, because that's like all they focus on, you know.
And they have, other than what, Nick Chubb? I mean, he hit, but now he's so injury riddled that he's not the same person. You got rid of Amari Cooper, which didn't make any sense. And to be fair, they got rid of Baker Mayfield.
When they really should not have.
Why? Like, I don't get it.
Because they're Cleveland.
He went to the Panthers and was horrible, but who's not horrible at the Panthers? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
other than
Cam
Steve
Newton.
Smith, everybody's horrible at the Panthers.
Yep.
He went to 2 poverty franchises and then reunited in Tampa. But, like, you know, the thing with Baker is, like, he made Cleveland relevant again, and they shipped him off. Like, I will never understand how they handled that whole situation. But, you know, again, for everything, and, you know, God bless Bo Nix. But, like, you know, thankful that the Broncos have, you know, Bo Nix now. But, like, how pathetic is that? You look at the Cleveland Browns quarterbacks, like, over the years, in the last 15 to 20 years, like, it's a 53-man roster just filled with quarterbacks. Like, the amount of people.
And since we're talking about the Browns and Deshaun Watson and, like, the other news that just came out, like, NFL players, when you're getting a massage, make sure you're getting a massage by a dude, okay? Like, stop all this other stuff. Like, come on now.
Yeah,
like, touch yourself. Stop touching them. Did I say that? I think I said that. Just stop it.
The picture.
Yo, try that.
The picture that I have in my mind, Mike, is the Seinfeld episode Costanza. He goes into the parlor. He comes out and he's talking with Jerry when they get back to the apartment, and he goes, "I think it moved." That's just like
I don't understand. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, keep your hands to yourself and other things. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that hard.
No. You know, and it's one where, you know, the NFL does have a problem, you know, in the sense of just their overall, the way that they've looked at things. I mean, for some reason, the people with and who have gone through the sexual assault side of things, for some reason, they just don't get nearly the same type of treatment as anybody else, you know, like, and
if it was like once and it was an accident, like, I get it. Like, whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to. I get it. But come on, like,
but even
10, 15, come on.
But even then, like, if you're looking at this whole, even the Watson situation and even this current stuff with Tucker, you know, like,
sorry about that, guys.
There should be a zero tolerance policy the moment something like this happens. Like these types of stuff are a fireable offense. This is a jail time offense. Like, this is, you know, you belong in a jail cell type of offense.
Automatic, like, NFL commissioners exempt list. You're done for the year.
No, not even done for the year.
If you listen, NFL players, if you want a massage, call Bill.
He'll bring the ho-hos. He'll bring the ho-hos.
Don't bring the ding dongs. Leave that out of there.
Oh, geez.
But call Bill. He offers a happy ending.
Boy.
No, but it's really unfortunate. It's just really unfortunate, the precedent that's being set whenever they handle it. Because, like, if I'm being it, you know, keeping it straight, Watson should not have been in the NFL. The moment that this stuff is, you know, leaked and happened, it should not even be in the NFL. He should not be in the NFL. And then Justin Tucker, Interestingly enough, John Harbaugh came out and actually said with the Watson stuff, that we have a zero tolerance policy, given everything that, transpired. And so now, fast forwarding, many years later, now we have the Justin Tucker situation. Why hasn't anything happened right now?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's like, it's one of those things where the league has to differentiate itself from the legal system, right? Like if it was a legal issue, you're innocent until proven guilty, right? But if there's more than like one complaint, right? And I'm not saying one complaint doesn't work. What I'm saying is if there are multiple instances for corroboration between
or even
all
cases,
these things,
like for
or
people.
cases
Yeah.
like this, it obviously something is happening. Immediately, you go to suspension, and you suspend him until the investigation is done.
Release and suspend him from the NFL, like the NFL show.
Well, I don't know about release yet because the only reason I say that is because and I'm not saying anybody was innocent in anything. I'm not. But what happens if you suspend and release, and then it comes to light like Matt Araiza, the punter for the Bills or Chiefs? I don't remember what he's the punter for now.
From San Diego State Aztecs.
If they had suspended and released him like they did, and then it comes back that he had nothing to do with it, that's why I'm saying suspend. Don't let them be on any team activities until the investigation's done. Once it's done, then you can decide what to do.
I just think it's just simply about the distractions of your football team. You do not have that being centered on just everything.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Keep away from the team. Like you cannot even step foot in the complex. But I can't do anything.
But I just think that, I don't know. If it was me, I would just rather cut the ties. And I think that's why whenever there's, like car accidents or anything like that, unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you're not going to be, cutting or releasing players.
Rashee Rice, how is he still playing?
Yeah, how is he? Yeah,
I mean, he's not playing because he's hurt. But how is he still eligible to play?
Right.
So going back to that Tucker issue,
call Bill. That fixes the problem.
The thing that has to happen is like with any rule or law or whatever, you need to make a statement. And sometimes you need to put your foot down. The NFL needs to put their foot down and say, enough's enough. Okay. We're going to make you an example, or however they word it, and make sure that there's a hard punishment so that others don't do it. They do it in other sports. They do it in baseball. They do it in hockey, but they don't do it in the NFL. And I know the NFL is all about money, and they get a ton of money from these players. I get it for being on the field. And Tucker's one of the best field goal kickers ever. But you can't allow this to happen, because what message is that sending to the kids? What message is that sending to the other players to do whatever he's doing? I just think it's wrong.
Yeah.
Now, we completely just spun off onto our own little thing, but we were talking Myles Garrett and Browns, so I get it. We
went four-wheeling, and we've stayed there.
We went four-wheeling. We ended up on a surfboard in the middle of the Pacific. So, going back to the players, no, that was fully me, and you'll get used to it. So, going back to the players that are up for trade. We talked about Myles Garrett. That is a want, not really a need, but we would love to have him.
Like a big dream.
Then there's Cooper Kupp. And I know, Cam, you talked a little bit about Cooper Kupp, but I think Cooper Kupp is a realistic option for the Broncos. He's a little bit older, in his 30s already, and it seems like Denver's going younger, but that would solve a wide receiver issue, and it would solve a slot issue with the Broncos, and I don't think you'd have to give up too much for him.
Yeah.
Can I say
no?
I can't say cartilage cup.
Go ahead. Good Lord.
That goes back many episodes.
So for the NFL players that are going to call Bill, he'll bring that and wear it for you.
I'm sorry. Go on.
Now, because of this, we need, if Cooper Kupp is a Denver Bronco, we might need a T-shirt made. Kidding.
Oh, I'm not. That'd be cool.
We'll put on the MHRT network store.
There's like in my mind, there's going to be a cartilage cup one, but there's also going to be a ding dong one where it's just like a black shirt with a white outline of an old man, like looking back, like, hey,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
it's gonna be great. What were we talking about?
Cooper Kupp.
I don't. Oh, Cooper Kupp.
But no, I just think that you hit the nail on the head, Mike, and I just think that when you look at it, like you look at like just the overall landscape of trade targets, like even just from the wide receiver standpoint. So Devontae Adams is at least an interesting one, right? But like it seems that if Roger stays, which at least at the current standing of February 4th, he's probably going to be staying a Jet. Like that's like the current standing. He's probably going to be a Jet. So if he's staying, Devontae Adams is staying. But even then,
I don't know about that one.
But even then, I'm not even sure that even if he's cut and released, I'm not even sure I would want to touch it. I don't even think Adams would touch it because, one, the Broncos hired Hackett. There's obviously that relationship with Aaron Rodgers. There was all that circus with the New York Jets, so like I'm not sure I want to be going to an organization that, at least from his point of view, trashed the organization. He was also on the Raiders. Why would I be wanting to go to, some organization? It's happened before where some players have signed with, some rivals. Sean Phillips did it, when the Chargers, moved on from him and he signed with, the Broncos or whatever. But Garrett Wilson, speaking of another Jet, that's a pipe dream, at least right now. Like, involving a first-round pick, possibly second-round pick. You don't know if he's actually going to be staying. So, like, it seems like that's a little bit of a pipe dream. And, Chris Godwin, free agent, you don't know about the possibility of they're offering 20-ish million or so. But I'll tell you, like, you look at the realistic options, I do think Cooper Kupp is probably your most realistic one that's out there because you said second-round pick. I'm thinking it's actually going to be, more so along the lines of the probably maybe the third, maybe even the fourth round. Because again, I come back to it, like, when you look at it from the standpoint of like, it seems like the Rams are willing to move on. Kupp's obviously willing to move on. Like, it just seems like they have the parameters of the deal on their side of things figured out. Now they just need to go and find a landing spot and a team that's willing to do that. And I do think that there's no way he's going to be on an NFC team. I think they would probably want to do right and ship him off to an AFC team, and hopefully it is the Denver Broncos.
If the
Not the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay,
no.
I was just going to say.
No. If he ends up on the Chiefs, I'm shutting down the network and I quit. We're done. I've had enough. Cheaters.
Speaking of cheaters, did you see?
No, don't change the top. Talk about what you're going to talk about.
Well, I am, but okay. Anyways, so okay, now you've got me forgetting what I was going to say because I'm all fired up.
Oh, shut up, Rich.
So okay, so Cam says there's no way he's going to the NFC, and I would agree. That being said, of the AFC, what three? I'm going to give you three, or not give you three, but ask you three teams. What three teams would be in prime candidate with finances, with salary cap, and with the trade bait to get Cooper Kupp?
Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Chargers.
Not the Broncos?
I'm just making sure I'm going through every team. Jets. Okay.
Jets.
They got a lot of salary cap, and they.
But I also heard the Raiders may be targeting Aaron Rodgers to bring him to the Jets because of Tom Brady. And if that is the case, Cooper Kupp isn't going to the Jets.
I don't think Aaron Rodgers plays it anymore.
Miami for Cooper Kupp?
I didn't think they had the salary cap space.
Maybe
so both of you didn't say Denver.
Maybe Buffalo, actually.
I'm surprised neither one of you said Denver.
No, I think Denver's there, but I'm thinking more of like if it's not Denver.
I think Denver's more like top 5, not top 3.
Okay. So top 3, Denver's not in it. Okay.
I don't think so.
New England, Miami, and Chargers?
Here's my thing with the Chargers. Like, you already have Vlad McConkey.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure that, Cooper Kupp will want to go to a situation that is in essence rivaling what he had with the Rams
with Puka Nacua.
With Puka Nacua. I'm sure he would want to go to probably a different situation where it's a different skill as a wide receiver and everything for a team. So I actually think Denver's a bit higher on the list. But I think if you look on, just the overall teams, I mean, Buffalo is interesting because of, given the offseason or the season that it crashed and burned. Wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they were a bit aggressive for Cooper Kupp. And obviously the wide receivers, they're okay, but like they're nothing to be, like worried about, if you will. So getting a Cooper Kupp with Josh Allen, and Joe Brady, I think would be interesting. But yeah, I mean, there's not really, any other team except for like New England.
Yeah, but New England doesn't really have a quarterback that I think Kupp would be, happy with.
They have Drake May.
I will say this. So Rich says he's concerned about Kupp's age and injury history. Now, as far as Kupp's age go, he's 31, and slot receivers, I mean, the good ones, I mean, you're talking like Wes Welker, played until he was, 38? I mean, you could still get 4 or 5 good years out of Cooper Kupp. And injury history, if you're looking at the Broncos from like 4 or 5 years ago, I'm concerned. If you're looking at the Broncos now, the Broncos were top 5 in players not on IR in the NFL. Like we were able to manage the medical issues with our players better than we have in the past 10 years. So with this current medical staff that we have on the Broncos right now, I'm not worried about it.
I mean, but also if you're going to keep it a buck, the injuries obviously are the biggest red flag, and they should be the biggest red flag. When it involves either Cooper Kupp or even Nick Chubb. Like obviously I've mentioned about how much I would, sign Nick Chubb, but still, you hit the nail on the head there, Mike. Like the fact that we have Bo Lowry in the building and the fact that the overall injury list that we've seen in the last 2 years has been, and as much as, it seems like it's well documented, if you've been following what's been going on with, Mario Vitanzi and everything that he's been talking about with, the Lauren Landau situation. Lauren Landau was not the problem in Denver. It was something else in Denver. So you look at it, and nonetheless, like that ship is sailed. But Bo Lowry's been in the building, and something has pretty evidently changed from a philosophy standpoint. So you get guys like a Chubb or even a Kupp in the building, they will already have been put in at least a much better situation health-wise.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the new ownership and their deep pockets, because they're able to afford the absolute best care for the players. And I'm not saying that like the Broncos organization in and of itself was poor before the new owners, but they didn't have a lot of spare change laying around. Even when you had Bolin owning the Broncos, they were not cash rich, right? No. So you look at the owners now; they are now able to go in there and give you the best of everything.
Yeah, and maybe that's a and to Biggie Bronco, that's a conversation for another day. It's a well documented discussion, and I don't know if you are on X or Twitter, but Mario Vitanzi, who's a friend of the show, has outlined that pretty evidently that it is not a Lauren Landau issue. So
yeah, I don't think it was Lauren Landau like himself, but I think that there were some corners being cut due to funding. I think that there were some things passed off to
some other people,
like interns or things like that shouldn't have been. And I don't think it was specifically Landau, but like Big E says, it has to be the change of philosophy in the building, right? Like I think that was a big part of it. I think having the money to be able to go out and get these things was another big part of it. It's just everything comes down to money, man. And I don't have any. If somebody wants to give me some, you can.
But nonetheless, it was a change of philosophy thing.
Yeah. Well, what about the coaches? I know that nobody expected the Broncos to have a winning season, let alone make the playoffs, win 10 games. Okay. I mean, we doubled what Vegas thought. Well, yeah, because we're fans. That being said, we lost some key coaches, coordinators that are moving. What do you mean? No.
I don't know if they're key. Like, we're not losing our offensive coordinator. We didn't lose Jim
We
Leonard.
lost a quarterback
didn't lose
coach.
Vance Joseph.
No, we did not.
No, he didn't.
We didn't lose.
No, Davis Webb's still there.
Okay. But we special teams, I can understand that one.
Special teams, we lost
fired him.
the
McGlinchey, we fired him.
who was the wide receiver coach? Is that who we lost?
But we lost 3 coaches. One went to Detroit, one went to the Jets, I believe, and one
not a coach. It was not a coach who went to Detroit, Bill.
That was David Shaw. He was
an executive.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, still, I mean, part of the Broncos that you got to replace. Now I've been reading where now they've got Denver stepping backwards. They're saying they're still going to have a winning season, but they're having them step backwards because they don't have the talent.
But how many of those coaches were poached to another team, and how many were fired and then signed to another team? Because as far as I know, there's only been 2 that have been poached.
Yeah,
and the rest were fired.
I mean, you had the linebacker coach who was fired,
right,
and the special teams coach who was fired.
Mm-hmm.
And if you actually look at the whole coaching staff, probably the one area where you actually saw a significant upgrade was the special teams coach, because they hired Darren Rizzi. It only took 2 months, but they finally were able to hire Darren Rizzi as their special teams coach. And then from the front office side of things, David Shaw was a loss. But, I've said repeatedly, as long as Sean Payton and this ownership group is running the building, and under even George Payton, we have nothing to worry about. And then obviously with the replacement of David Shaw and even Darren Moogie, like
that was the one I was going to say.
Like you basically just slide in Cody Rager in, like so. I mean, like it's not that big of a loss in my opinion, because like Sean Payton literally handpicked Rager to come from the Saints to the Broncos, and a lot of people in that Saints organization thought that he was going to be at some point the general manager that probably takes over for Mickey Loomis at some point down the line. Well, he's on board with the Broncos, and he's probably going to be more often than not the assistant to the GM. And David Shaw probably was going to maybe take a coaching gig. The more you looked at his interviews with not just the Broncos over the years, but just other teams, him taking offensive coordinator interviews, that sort of thing, it seemed like it was trending in the direction for him to leave. But then again, you look at the coaches that left, they were basically let go, and then all the positions that they lost were all sucky weakness positions. Like special teams sucked, linebackers sucked.
Well, and
the one that's
linebacker
really,
totally yes.
Well, the way that I look at Cam, the way that I look at the losing Moogie, right? Like you look at when Denver took George Payton from Minnesota, there wasn't a drop off. Like it sucks because George Payton is great at scouting talent, but there wasn't a drop off because they had a guy in place to step up and take his spot. So It's the same thing. George Payton has the same thing set up with Denver. Like he lost Moogie, that sucks, but he has another guy that can step right in.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we're not going to lose anything.
But you could lose camaraderie, or you could lose the approach. You don't agree with that?
No. Because again, like as long as Sean Payton and the ownership group and George Payton are still there and they are manning that entire engine, we will be fine.
Yeah.
And again, like the people leaving, like a Darren Moogie or even a David Shaw, like they left for promotions.
Right.
They left for promotions. That's more of a tribute to and a compliment to the foundation that you're building. And then also like to the actual staff members that stayed. Mm-hmm. Frankly, that's as much of a compliment to where things are being currently built. The fact that Davis Webb was not poached or maybe let alone interviewed for a job is actually interesting. And that, I mean, I would venture to bet that if things get better in 2025, like he'll probably get interviews then. But like, I just think that, the fact that Webb stayed and the one that probably is going to be once again swept under the rug because of, what happens in the offseason, but keeping Jim Leonard in the building was a massive keep for them, because like it seems like there are insurances in place that he might be the defensive coordinator down the line for the Denver Broncos. Like I just think that when you look at it from the landscape of the fact that had they lost Davis Webb or even Jim Leonard, or even Vance Joseph, if they would have lost probably one of those top three, or maybe even Zach Strief to get a bit drastic, if you lose like any of those types of people, yeah, then you're talking about maybe there's a bit of a steep drop off.
Yeah, and again, like I know people are going to disagree. Like people were blowing us up on the neighborhood about Vance Joseph all season, but I am so excited that Vance Joseph is back for another year, and it obviously shows that there weren't really any teams. Either there wasn't a team that was that serious, or Vance Joseph wasn't that serious about becoming a head coach again.
I think he likes it in Denver. I really do. I think he likes the situation.
Well, yeah, he went to Colorado. He owns a home in Denver. His family lives in Denver.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know why he wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why he wouldn't stay.
What do you mean you're neutral, Rich, on VJ?
Meaning,
that's what I don't understand. Like, and I said it through the whole
neighborhood
season. Like, when you look at the defense in Denver, the problem wasn't Vance Joseph. The problem was the limited capabilities of some of the spots on defense, like inside linebacker. We were limited on how well we were going to play an inside linebacker because you had a backup inside linebacker in there. Like you can only coach them to a certain point, and then what else are you going to do?
I think that there are moments, though, and I think that there were there were some moments, I think, in games where VJ probably could have handled things a little bit better in terms of schematically. And I think that we saw that a little bit maybe at times as the season was winding down. Like, something like you can't tell me that, like, with the way that Chris Abrams played against the Chargers, we probably should have seen him just a little bit more, as the season was winding down in terms of some possible adjustments. And I get the whole, like, we want to put too much on a rookie's plate, but by that same token, next man up is next man up, and we have to be making some necessary adjustments and some decisions along the way. And, I just felt like at times VJ was a bit behind the eight ball at times in terms of schematics. But the fact that still remains that the players and the players that were there just for some reason just weren't fitting the scheme of everything that that was currently being played. I mean, obviously Cody Barton was hit and miss through the entire season. Like, he would miss tackles.
And I do think he would have been better if Singleton was still there.
I just
think
that
I think that Barton was trying to cover for it's gone. I had it. Where'd it go? Who filled in? Sternod. Yeah. I think that Barton was covering for Sternod at certain points. And that's why he was, and I'm not saying he would have been perfect with Singleton in there, but I think that some of the gaffes that he had were because he was trying to cover for Sternod.
But I just think that overall it showed you, because there were some moments still where Alex Singleton he's not a coverage linebacker. Just be blunt. Like, he's not a coverage linebacker. So and Barton, he's way too inconsistent in coverage. He's
all right.
Way too the interceptions inflate that a lot. But, like, he was, he just was way too inconsistent in coverage. He would take bad angles. The combination between Cody Barton and Justin Sternod was actually a great combination of how bad linebacker play actually is, because both would take really bad angles. And Justin Sternod was one where, he filled the role because, with where things were and the depth of where they were. But I think that he's at least proven that he's a solid special teamer, and that's that.
Do you guys think PJ Locke is gone? Because I heard PJ Locke may be gone.
There's some buzz.
Yeah. If from what I heard, if Denver doesn't draft defensive tackle in the first, they're going safety.
I think it's free agency. Actually, I think
they
so.
Yeah. Like Brandon Jones was
free agency.
Brandon Jones was a hit. Like, keep him.
Yep.
He was great.
Oh yeah. But who's out there in free agency for a safety to replace Locke?
That goes into a great next topic,
which
Cam, that brought up. Why don't we pick a free agent? And we'll talk about all free agents, but why don't we pick a free agent that we think Denver will bring in, or that you want Denver to bring in the offseason? Just one free agent that you want Denver to bring in.
Free agent.
I know I have one.
Well, I will say this from the what is it, the safety side. I'm not going to make this claim necessarily, but, like, in terms of the safety market, you have obviously the guy in the back, Justin Simmons.
Oh yeah,
would be,
absolutely. I bring him back in a heartbit.
Never gonna happen.
but it's not going to happen. It's
Wait,
not.
do we need safety or free, strong or free?
I think it's free. But you have Simmons, you have Javon Holland, Jordan Poyer, Andre Siskow, you have Cam
Eric Murray.
Bynum, and you also are probably going to end up having Talanoa Hufanga from the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm down for Javon Holland.
You also have Jeremy Chin. You have Justin Blackman from the Colts. Trayvon
I agree
Moore.
with that.
So
I like that. Najee Harris. That's who I want. Absolutely, hands down.
anyway, so those are just the rough safety names.
I like Javon Holland. As much as I'd love to have Justin back, I don't think it's gonna happen. Ever.
Yeah, it's just not reciprocated.
He
I think
might retire like on a sign and then retire deal, but he's not. I don't think
it's just not reciprocated. They like each other, but they don't like each other enough for him to come back. That's basically what it is.
So if Javonte Williams is gone for the Broncos, why wouldn't you pick up a Najee Harris?
Because I don't think I would.
Aaron Jones. That was my pick. My free agent pickup is Aaron Jones.
What is wrong? What's wrong with Harris? He had over 1,000-yard rushing this year.
He's got a lot of tread on his tires, even with a split backfield.
He's starting to get into the injury history side of it.
Like
he was healthy for the first
but you could
years.
use him as a utility guy. Short. Third down yardage, goal line yardage.
He is not a goal line yardage back.
Okay.
He's
not a big guy.
He's just got weight. It's bad when you have Tyler. I almost said Tyler Warren, Jalen Warren.
Not yet.
But you have Jalen Warren, who's basically taken the entire reins over him in the last 2 years and looked better, in doing so. So that's more of a. And for Aaron Jones, he's actually going to be going into a bit of a more of a complementary role. Which, if you actually look at his history, and even when he was with Green Bay, his best years when he was looking electric was the complementary role when he was with Green Bay. So I'm all in favor of Aaron Jones. But I will say, if you're probably looking at it from my vantage point, I probably would be far more in favor of drafting a running back, actually drafting 2 running backs, and going that route.
They wouldn't be proven though, Cam. I mean, these guys are proven.
And that's why I like the going Aaron Jones route and drafting a running back. I like the running back out of there's 2. There's one in North Carolina and there's one in Iowa that I like.
But every time
I don't think Genty's going to be there. We'll just take him out.
But every time you also draft players, they're always unproven. You just call.
Well, I understand that. I get that.
Well,
but then we go back to Terrell Davis, round 6.
And we still have to see what we have in estimate.
Yeah,
sure.
I don't think the coaching staff has given up on him yet. He was a rookie. He had some issues. They got to fix it.
But I wouldn't just not be opposed to drafting 2. Just to get, and it's just mostly given the fact that it's been such a deep class that you can get a lot of different versions of running backs in this class. That I would not be opposed to drafting 2. As far as the one that I want them to sign, the number 1 player I want them to sign is Super Bowl attendee Zach Bond. I want Zach Bond bad. Sean Payton drafted him. He's already got some ties with Jim Leonard from Wisconsin. There's already some decent enough ties where you can be able to get him. And I do think that the Broncos would fork over a lot of money to bring him in. And I would not even be the least bit surprised. I put it actually in my dream offseason on Twitter, but I would not be the least bit surprised to actually go out and get Zach Bond and a Dre Greenlaw. So Greenlaw's coming off of injury, so you might be able to get him for a little bit cheaper. And obviously with the Broncos being a playoff team and in the AFC, I wouldn't love an upgraded room like that where you can go out and get a Zach Bond and a Dre Greenlaw.
Boy,
So, Bill, do you
you're
have one
putting the
that you
bar
want
way
to
up here,
sign?
man.
Do you
What's
have
that?
one in? Do you have one in mind that you want to sign, or are you going with Najee Harris?
Okay, I know Cooper Kupp isn't a free agent,
Nope.
so I can't address that. But yeah, I like Harris only because I mean 1,000-yard rusher. Denver didn't have that this year, and yet Sean Payton wanted to establish the run. We didn't have a guy that could get 1,000 yards. Is it offensive line? Sure, but is it play calling? Sure. Is it back and knowing how to see the hole and hit the hole and whatnot? Sure. McLaughlin is solid. Estime solid. Why wasn't Estime in the playoff game against Buffalo? I have no idea.
Fumbles.
Huh?
Fumbles.
You think so?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can come up with. Like, that's what he struggled with fumbles. That's the only thing I can think of.
But nonetheless,
it's a playoff game. No one expects us to be there. Why wouldn't you put all your eggs in one? Not all your eggs. Why wouldn't you put everything out there?
I just think that it's actually beyond Javonte. Javonte Williams carried it for how bad he was, but I just think that the running back room in general is putrid. Like I just think that the running back room in general is putrid.
Well, who would you want?
Well, okay, no, hold on. So this is the one exception I take to that. And this is one of the things that I have an issue with Sean Payton on is why bring Bidet in instead of Estime? Mm-hmm. Say that you're going to use him for a specific reason and then not use him at all.
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand. Like roster moves like that are what aggravate me to no end with Sean Payton.
Yeah, and I think that that's going to be an interesting one to follow. Obviously, things change, as games evolve and everything. So maybe things evolve to where they weren't giving Bidet, the carries in the playoff game. But it looks really bad when you activate him and then you basically only give him 2 carries. But I just think that, the Broncos need 2 running backs that they can absolutely trust, like a Pierre Thomas, a Mark Ingram.
I'd take that in a heartbeat. Oh yeah.
He does not fit he does not fit the culture, and
he's not Antonio Brown yet, but he's getting there. No,
yeah, he does not fit the locker room of where when you look at what Sean Payton talked about in terms of the locker room and being a locker room guy. Like I just think that he does not. I mean, I wouldn't mind him from just an overall play style standpoint, but
he's TO.
But
that's where he's at now. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback.
Okay, so basically, what you guys are saying is that you love his talent, you love his gameplay, but you don't like his locker room, and you think that would deteriorate the Broncos,
which does not fit. And I would actually much rather take Amari Cooper. Than Stephon Diggs in this type of situation.
Okay.
So,
all right, makes sense.
I would take Ed McCaffrey at this point over Stephon Diggs.
I'd take Rod Smith,
like right now, not in their prime, right now.
Well over 50. Well over
right now.
Does Steve Atwater want to come back and play so we can get rid of PJ Locke? Brian Dawkins, you got anything left in the tank?
Ooh, Brian Dawkins, that's another good one.
John Lynch, you want to resign as GM of the Niners and come play for the Broncos for like a year?
Getting Gradishar, come in and play linebacker.
Yeah, Gradishar, you want to swing in? We'll be fine.
Can you imagine? Just put this out there, guys. I just thought, put this out. Take your favorite player from all generations of the Broncos and put them on one team. Who would be your starting safety, your starting linebacker, your starting center, and your starting quarterback? And wide receiver and running back.
You're talking about
center's Tom Nalen.
I'm talking about all time. Go all the way back when.
Center's Tom Nalen. That's not even a debate. Didn't we figure this out?
No.
Hold
you
on.
And I did.
I think that we did it on the show. Hold on. I think I still have it in here.
So you're saying in terms of like
all-time team. Got it. So quarterback, we had John Elway with Manning as backup.
Right.
That's what they had. That's not what I had.
Who's they?
The other guys on the thing.
Oh, 5280. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. We did do this.
Running back, we had 2 running backs. We had Terrell Davis and Floyd Little. Okay. Wide receivers, we had 3. We had Rod Smith, we had Demaryius Thomas, and Lionel Taylor. Hold on a second.
Lionel Taylor? Really?
Yeah, that's.
I would have said Ed. I would have said Ed McCaffrey.
We were here, Cam. You were on the show when we did this.
No, I was agreeing with you.
Okay. Tight end, we had one, Shannon Sharp. Pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive tackles, we had Ryan Clady and Gary Zimmerman.
Right.
And then guards, we had Keith Bishop and Paul Howard.
Paul Howard. I don't know. That's
yeah, thank you. Sorry, my battery wasn't plugged in. It was about to die. Center, Tom Nalen.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to defense, 2 defensive ends, Tombstone Jackson and Derek Wolfe. And the reason why we had Derek Wolfe in there is because Derek Wolfe is the setup guy. He's the guy that would set it up for the edge rushers.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive tackle, Trevor Price with Neil Smith as the backup. Inside linebackers, Randy Gradishar and Al Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
My vote was obviously not for Al Wilson, but I got outvoted.
Who's your guy?
You better have Tom Jackson in there somewhere.
Who's your guy again?
Who do you think?
Huh?
Who do you think is my guy? You know this answer. Come on.
Why don't you?
No, you know it.
I'm trying to remember.
I know who it is. I know who it is. John Mobley.
There you go.
Okay.
But where's
Greatest
Tom?
player of all time.
But where's Tom Jackson? Not on there? Come on. Tom Jackson? Wow.
No.
I think the linebacker one was one of our tougher conversations.
Yeah, that was a tough one. So we had Randy Gradishar and Al Wilson for inside. Outside was Von Miller, Elvis Dumerville, and Carl Mecklenburg.
You don't wait a minute. Whoa. You don't have the guy we got from Dallas that was in Super Bowl.
He was only here for 2 years.
Yeah, he's only here for 2.
He still was impressive. But Dumerville was Dumerville. Yeah, I agree. All right, go on.
And then corner was Champ Bailey, Chris Harris Jr., and Louis Wright.
Oh, Louis Wright, number 20, baby.
And then safety we had
Atwater.
Steve Atwater.
Yep. And Dennis
Justin
Smith.
Simmons and Dennis Smith.
Yeah, love Dennis Smith.
Now, personally, I love Brian Dawkins. I'm a big Brian Dawkins guy. And that's why I think at one point I had asked, who's the heaviest hitter at safety between Atwater or Lynch or Dawkins?
Atwater.
Because those
He's
three.
The only one. He's the only one that knocked Christian Okoye backwards. Christian Okoye had never gone backwards on a direct hit. He always either went to side or forward. He was knocked backwards, and Atwater, rightfully so, pointed down like that. And I thought that was classic.
Moose River Hummer says Reuben Carter instead of Trevor Price.
No.
Okay. Reuben Carter and
Trevor Price. Come on now.
No.
Ed over Sharp at tight end.
Ed McCaffrey was not tight end.
McCaffrey was a wide receiver.
Yeah. Ed was a wide receiver. Yeah.
Shannon Sharp, absolutely. Right? I like John Lynch. I have a John Lynch jersey. I like John Lynch.
We're up to Tom Jackson. Man, we've had so many good defenders. Like it's hard to pick. Romanowski. No, thank you.
So what? Why don't you like Romo?
Well,
he was good for like 3 seasons.
He was also a
and then he became a huge cheater and was on roids the entire time.
Did you see?
That's why he punched his teammate in the face and broke his orbital bone.
He's also a ticking time bomb.
You didn't see him in Super Bowl 32 or 33?
Of course, but it's
I mean, he just demolished the quarterback. I can't remember his name now. Chris Chandler of the Falcons. Just annihilated.
You tell me how you picked Bill Romanowski over Randy Gradishar and Al.
I wouldn't. I didn't say I would. I said I like Romo. I didn't say I put him over. No, not over.
But if you were to maybe go a little bit further though, like to the conversation, if you look at more.
Hey, who was that linebacker from Houston? Brian
Bosworth?
Cushing. Brian Cushing. Who was more roided out, Cushing or Romanowski?
I think recency bias.
Well, wait a minute. People say, hang on. People say Romo was on roids. I don't. He said he was taking these.
Oh, stop it. He was.
You think so?
Yes.
He was drinking the bottle.
He wasn't
even injecting. Vitamins. He was snorting it and drinking it.
Like he said, he was taking vitamins.
Also, Romo was like mentally crazy. Like,
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
Like-
sometimes when you play football, you gotta be crazy, you know.
no, so it's just. But so when you let's like take the conversation further though. When you look at the needs of this football team, who would you put? Take this list aside. Who would you put on this football team based on
Because he was hung like a horse. What are we talking about here? I'm just so confused. Don't roids do the opposite?
Oh, God.
who would you put
See
on
what
this
happens,
team?
Cam, when Mike brings me on? I'm
It
sorry.
always I'm used to it, Bill, because this show is this show always goes off the rails.
Every time.
I know.
You know,
I've
but
You
watched
can't
the
make a
games.
comment like that and expect me not to say something.
So again, like
It's kind of like how I made a very clear point last week. You have to talk about Jerry Jones.
I did not do it.
You didn't do it?
Nope.
What? You didn't bring up Jerry Jones and Glory Hole? You didn't bring that up?
No.
How dare you?
I respected Gage
No.
at the shrine.
No.
to
No
talk about
respect.
that. And not.
Bill,
about
do you know
Jerry
what that
Jones.
is? I'll explain it to you later, young man.
Anyway, so when you
Is it
Hey,
in the
Google,
back?
Bill, Google search it.
no,
Is it in the
No,
back?
Bill, Google
No.
search it.
no, do not Google search it.
Google search it.
No, don't
Just do it
listen
on
to
your
me.
phone. Don't do it on your computer.
Listen to me, Bill. Do not Google search it.
Don't do it.
Anyway, so when you take
I'll
the
declare.
conversation,
No. We'll talk while you look it up.
no, we're not doing
I
this.
want to see your reaction. Don't talk about it.
We're
But
not
I want
doing
to see
this.
your reaction.
We're not doing this.
And if you're playing a video, turn the volume down, please.
But when you look at the when you look at the conversation and we talking about like the lineups and everything, let's just take it from like the player's needs perspective. If you were to take a player from that past, who would you put on this Denver Broncos team now? So obviously, I feel like tight end, the easiest answer would be Shannon Sharp. He says,
You're gonna kill me, Bill. That's the best reaction I've ever heard on this.
that is getting clipped.
Every time I answer the phone, that's what I'm saying. Oh,
I'm sorry it got so off the rails. But, yeah.
It's always off the rails. But so, Bill, if you didn't catch our question, you actually what it sounded like. It reminded me of Tim Allen and Home Improvement.
Oh my gosh.
Tim
I did
Improvement
not
Taylor.
expect that at all.
Anyway,
At
So,
this
Bill-
point in time, when I ask you to look something up, shouldn't you be expecting it?
Yeah,
and
but
not
I didn't
do
think it'd be that. That's kind of crazy, man.
it.
I mean,
So
really?
in terms of the conversation and taking what we were,
Cam's trying to get back to.
I'm
basic.
trying to steer the ship now. So when you look at it, the conversation that we had, earlier about like the all-time team, let's take it from the team needs per side of things. If you were to take players, from the past, but like they fill team needs for where this current team is at, who would you bring forward to this football team?
You asking me?
I have everybody.
Oh,
People like in the chat, people,
oh, got it.
like the bearded wonder over there on the top left.
We need running backs so bad.
So
Like,
Terrell.
I want to say tight end, but
No. This is
We need
everybody.
more.
I love Terrell Davis, right?
But Mike, you're misinterpreting it. So I'm not saying one player. I'm saying if you look at the needs, who would you?
Yeah, I'm just going with like the most important that we would
Okay.
need to add. And like, while I love Terrell Davis, I don't know if Terrell Davis would fit in what our offensive line is doing right now. Like
You know
the
who would?
scheme we're in.
You know who would?
I was going to lean towards Mike Anderson.
No. You know who would?
Who?
How can you not say Terrell Davis?
Clinton
Maybe
Portis.
Clinton Portis. Yeah,
Yep.
I would say Clinton Portis.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Well,
okay,
I
so
didn't know.
no. So nobody's taking anything away from Terrell Davis, right? But he's he's your one cut and go.
Yeah.
Right.
So like
and that's not what our offensive line does.
Yeah. So the conversation is about like you look at it from like where the team is. Maybe TD actually does fit, but I do wonder about like with where things are with the receiving ability and everything. I think it's actually close between TD and Clinton Portis, to be honest with you.
The reason why I lean towards TD is look what he did in a short amount of years. Granted, it was a different offensive head coach, different scheme, but if you take a running back who can hit the hole as fast as he did and could accelerate, stop it, Munduggets.
Ew, that hole.
I mean, you got to look at that and say, if he can outrun the defenders, who cares about breaking tackles like Anderson or Javonte Williams in his rookie year?
I think I actually am going to say Terrell Davis, actually, because like Sean Payton actually comes from that, like maybe not the same tree, but there's been Shanahan influence.
But he doesn't do the zone blocking scheme though.
But I still think that he would fit well enough to where I think that he would be rather seamless. And
I mean, trust me, like if TD fits, I'm TD every day. I just want to make sure that it's a good fit. You know what I mean?
So
I don't want to bring back some amazing player. Like take Justin Simmons, for example.
For sure.
Looked amazing at Denver and then goes to Atlanta and he's nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
I don't want that to happen.
Right.
I want to make sure it's the right fit.
I do think it's between TD and Clinton Portis, though.
Yeah. Let me throw out a question to you guys. Tight end. Shannon Sharp. Hang on. Shannon Sharp or Travis Kelce in their prime?
Oh, Shannon. I'm taking Gronk over Kelce, too.
Really?
Yeah, I'd take Gronk over Kelce, too.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you would take Gronk over Kelce. What would you take Gronk over Sharp?
I take Tony Gonzalez over Kelce, too.
I'll say Tony Gonzalez. I might even go with Antonio Gates, too.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Kelce's a all-time great tight end, but he's not above the greats.
Okay. But Shannon Sharp, you got above all of them.
No.
Yep.
Tony Gonzalez.
No?
I have Tony Gonzalez one, and then Shannon.
But as far as needs for the team, it's pretty clear-cut and obvious it's Shannon for tight end.
Wow. Wow, Mike.
I don't know if I agree with that one.
Probably probably Javonte Williams rookie year.
No,
Anderson. I'd say Anderson, Super Bowl champion.
Yeah.
Anderson.
Chris Anderson.
Oh yeah, he was amazing.
Chris Anderson.
Not Chris Anderson.
Wait, what did I say?
You said Chris, not Chris Anderson.
No, I was thinking Chris Harris.
Sorry.
What's
his first name? What's his first name?
What is his first name?
Mike?
Mike Anderson. There you go.
No. The one that won Super Bowl 50.
Oh, Porky. CJ.
There you go.
Anderson. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who's like 300 pounds at running back.
No, I knew Mike Anderson. I was trying to think of the other one that won Super Bowl.
Yeah,
but I had Chris Harris on my mind.
Even Paul Schaefer said in the chat.
Funny enough, I always say this every time because it's so mind-boggling. Did you guys know that Noshawn Moreno was 6th all-time rushing in Broncos history?
Wow.
And Guinness Book of World Records teardrop size.
Oh, that's messed
He's got
up.
The
Mike.
biggest tears I've ever seen.
But you have to. It was a national anthem. You got to give it.
I'm not knocking him.
Oh, thought you were.
I'm just saying it's the biggest teardrop I've ever seen. No,
well, they zoomed in. If they zoomed in with your teardrop, it'd be that big too.
But yeah, so tight end is Shannon. Safety, actually, it would be Steve Atwater, right?
It was TD, Paul.
Yeah, it was TD. It would be Steve. It would be Atwater, right? Based even on need.
Ooh, yeah. Atwater, yeah.
Well, what did Atwater play?
Strong
or free? Strong. Yeah, but that's taking out Brandon Jones.
No,
PJ's free.
I think they're both really versatile to where I think that if you put Atwater there.
How about field goal kicker?
No, I'm gonna stream for 24 hours.
Jason Elam?
It's not a need, Bill. We're talking need.
Okay. Oh, got it. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yes, Jason Elam.
But it would probably be Jason Elam. But yeah, so Atwater. Now here's the interesting one. And this is probably the most fun debate, if you will. Defensive line and linebacker.
John Mobley.
Oh yeah. Linebacker is going to be John Mobley for you. For me, it would be Mobley. Yeah.
Wait, which linebacker, inside or outside?
I still like Jackson, Tom Jackson.
For interior? Oh no, never mind. Linebacker.
Yeah. I love Tom Jackson.
So for me, I'm upgrading it with 2. And I think that I'm not looking at inside linebacker, and I'm not even looking at outside linebacker. I'm looking at pure athleticism at linebacker. It's one of the reasons why I was, pinning for Zach Bond and Dre Greenlaw. I want basically a positionless linebacker room, for that. And I think that the inside linebacker room or whatever, I'm just looking strictly at linebacker. So give me Carl Mecklenburg and DJ Williams.
Ooh, I like both of those.
You say whatever you want. I want John Mobley and Al Wilson in the middle.
Al Wilson, another good one. You don't like Tom Jackson at all, huh?
I love Tom Jackson. I'm just saying that
because Mike was saying,
but at the same time, you got to remember we're currently running a 3-4. So where do they play in a 3-4?
True.
Like Al Wilson and John Mobley are your inside linebackers, whereas Tom Jackson would be more of an edge outside.
Paul's asking if we bring back Singleton.
Nobody's mentioned Von Miller.
Get back on the rails.
Von Miller, pass rusher.
Well, outside it would have to be Von.
Yeah.
But he's current though. He's in the NFL.
Which, by the way, that was something that Gage brought up in his video. Was like, instead of bringing in Myles Garrett, just bring back Von Miller. Right. Why would we want to do that?
I mean,
like, I love Von Miller for what he did in Denver, but he's not the same Von Miller. Why would I want Von Miller back?
Maybe just because it's a vet presence that they need.
Yep.
And also, it'd be fun having Halloween parties with,
Cool.
Okay, do we bring back Singleton? Get back on the rails. We will never get back on the rails, but we could talk about bringing
our
back
train is basically on one wheel or on one, side, but not the other.
Yes, dear.
Oh, wow. He got a wife phone call. He's in trouble now. I'm pretty sure Singleton's still under contract for another 3 years, isn't he?
He is. I don't know if it's 3 or if he has one more year remaining. So maybe it's like this current year.
I thought he just resigned last year, though, a 4-year, didn't he?
I think it was a 3-year.
So he'd have 2.
Yeah. So like after this year, it would be his last year. But I still think that if you're able to cut Singleton and Locke, you'll have close to $10 million in space.
But it's tough to cut Singleton though. I understand that there's some weaknesses there, but he gives you like 130 tackles a season.
I know, but I just think that I hate to say it this way, and like he was a captain. Obviously, he's a Walter Payton Man of the Year candidate. But I just think that, it's one of the biggest reasons why the linebacker room as a whole has struggled over the years has been athleticism, straight out. They don't have athleticism at all in that linebacker room. And I also think that the inside linebacker room in general, from those types of players like Alex Singleton, I feel like it's somewhat of a dying breed a little bit in the NFL. And so I think that when you look at it from the standpoint of, just having pure athleticism at inside or even outside, and even outside and just strictly from the linebacker side, I think honestly, like having as much athleticism as possible with your linebacker room for me is the move. And it's one of the reasons why San Francisco, had with specifically a healthy Dre Greenlaw and a Fred Warner, were always like the cream of the crop linebacker room in the NFL, because they both were just so athletically gifted and could just handle it so well. And back when Levante David was Levante David and Devin White was actually, like a really good. I would
still take Levante David.
Devin White, like those were two great, talents, if you will, linebackers. So If you can have that, I will take that specifically any day. And it obviously, as I said, saves you $10 million.
Okay.
True.
All right, so I think that covers everything Broncos wise. I got one more thing that we don't need to, but we should talk about because it's big for the AFC West. Obviously, we got Pete Carroll coming in as head coach of the Raiders. There were also rumors that Russell Wilson might sign back with the Raiders. However, they just signed Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator. And in my mind, Chip Kelly and Russell Wilson would not work well together.
I don't know. He made it work with Will Howard, who might actually be a Raiders quarterback.
Now, I heard that they are targeting the Broncos' Zach Wilson, quarterback.
Good. He needs to start week 1.
Yeah, they can have him. Good luck.
I
mean, they keep saying that it's going to be like Shador to the Raiders, but I think, as much as I don't think he should go that high, I think he's going to go in the top 3.
I also heard that
I don't think Cam Ward or Shador make it down to the Raiders.
I also heard too that rumor has, of course, just rumor that they're talking to the camp of Aaron Rodgers to see if he will slide on over to the Raiders. Why wouldn't you? You got
what a pairing, Chip Kelly and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
that'd be a pair.
That would be a horrible.
There's a lot of reach out there.
That's fine. They can have him. I wish them the most success in the world. Wouldn't that be funny, though? Aaron Rodgers leaves the Jets after getting Devontae Adams to go to the Raiders that Devontae just left from. Wouldn't that be funny?
That'd be funny. Especially considering, Antonio Pierce is there. But no, I think it's going to be one where I'm curious to see how it shakes out from the Ohio State side, because Chip Kelly, it really looked like he was having a really fun time coaching the Ohio State players and that offense. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I would not be the least bit surprised if there are a couple Ohio State Buckeyes that get taken, by the Raiders. Hopefully they don't take TreVeyon Henderson. Hopefully they don't take my draft crush, Emeka Egbuka, but they can take Will Howard though.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they take like Justin Fields. Like they can have Justin Fields. I'd be fine with that.
I don't know. It's just the Raiders are talking. I mean, when you got Tom Brady over there,
hey, does Joe Flacco need a job?
Maybe
Jameis Winston to the Raiders.
Jameis Winston.
That was another rumor that
I like how Jameis Winston was asking questions in the Super Bowl pre-stuff, and he asked Saquon like, "Hey man, where do you think I should go in free agency?" And Saquon's like, "Well, I hear New York needs a quarterback. Which New York? The Giants." Oh, okay. That was fun.
Both, actually.
I'm going to assume that either Cam Ward or Shador goes to New York. That would be my guess, right?
Obviously, when we say New York, we mean Giants, by the way.
Yes, not Jets. Giants, because they're top 3.
Yeah.
Do we think Cleveland actually takes a quarterback or no?
Who knows? Like they're their own.
Well, aren't they still under contract with Deshaun Watson?
Yes, they are still under contract with DeMassage Watson.
Sucks. And he tore his Achilles again, so he's out next year.
Yeah, so DeMassage Watson will be out for the full year.
Again?
He tore it again.
Hear that. This coming year, he's out?
Yeah, so
done.
He tore it
done.
And was out, and then he tore it again.
He's done. His career's done.
I'm trying to think of what he was doing. He was doing
probably massaging.
He was doing something without the boot on, and he ended up tearing it again.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he's out all next year. And then he's only got one more year after that, so it only makes sense to cut him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to pay him whether he's on the team or not. Like,
sure.
His cap hit is what he's owed. So
sure.
Either way, you got to pay it.
I just think for a great room, they should just bring in Russell Wilson. Have Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson.
There we go. That'd be
perfect.
Great.
Oh, and bring in Tucker too as well, so that way he can kind of
Browns should give Deshaun Watson an extension,
lifetime contract,
lifetime. Give him the 10-year $1 billion treatment like Mahomes.
Mahomes,
and then an underlining contract to 24-hour fitness, but not to the fitness.
but the spa's out.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we need to talk about, or does that about cover it?
I mean, I think that about covers it. I mean, we kind of touched on a whole lot.
Go
On
Avalanche.
everything. Oh, obviously, who wins the Super Bowl?
Eagles. Eagles
Actually,
number one defense. Number one defense.
Eagles.
Shut 'em down.
I actually think the
Go
Eagles
Birds!
fly Eagles, fly, and I won't see
And
this
we
one.
know how to spell it, unlike the Philly mayor. Okay. E-S-T-L-E-S. What? Say that again.
How many drinks did that lady have?
Reminded me of
You got the mayor back in the city offices back there going A B C D.
reminded me of the scene in Invincible where
the neighborhood's back.
they're interviewing the one guy who's was trying out for the Eagles, and they asked him,
Fight, Eagles fight on the road to victory.
Oh God!
What makes
All
you
right,
think-
yeah, I'm going Eagles over Chiefs, and I'm gonna say 20. What am I gonna say? I'm gonna say 28-21.
I will say Eagles, and I will say 26-20 Eagles.
I'd say Eagles 22-19.
And I think Saquon has a $175 with 2 touchdowns.
Speaking of also Bronco related stuff, I hate to say this,
Oh, now you throw it out there.
but it's Broncos related. Soak it in while you can, Broncos country, because Saquon Barkley will be breaking Terrell Davis's postseason.
I know he only needs. Yeah, I think he only needs 10 yards, 15 yards, something like that.
Yep.
And
that's
But here's the problem I have before we end this topic. The problem I have with that is you cannot take this generation and equate it to last generation. You just can't do that. I mean, stats are stats within their generation. He's had more games to do this. He's had 17 games. Terrell had what? 16, sometimes 14. So it just bothered me. It just bothers me.
I get it.
It doesn't matter. It bothers me. Because it's Terrell Davis. He's going to get his record.
No, I get it. And there definitely should be like an asterisk on it.
Sure. But, absolutely. Just like the Hank Aaron home run.
That's what bugs me so much about Saquon not winning MVP. Like, I understand Lamar. I understand Josh Allen. Like, I get it. But come on. Like, you're breaking a Terrell Davis record. And if they wanted to, or if Saquon had wanted to, he could have beaten the all-time rushing yards in a season. Like, he could have. He was like, what, 70-something yards away? Like, he could have beat it. But he chose not to. Like, I understand Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, I get it. But honestly, Saquon Barkley should have been the MVP.
Yep. Yeah, and it's always my opinion it would have been Saquon Barkley as MVP anyway. I just think when you look at this was such a crazy year, like when you look at just like the crazy year from the MVP side of things, like everybody had almost like an abnormal season, and it's just at that point it feels like it would almost tip the hand of like it feels like it would almost like tip the hand of a quarterback in that instance. I mean, you had the regular season MVP in Joe Burrow, but he's also not the MVP. Then you have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, but like it's crazy even too. Like when you think about like the season that Saquon had, there were still moments where they could have given it to Saquon on certain carries, and they didn't. They gave it to Hurts on the tushy pushy. Like
tushy pushy.
So they easily could have had a few more touchdowns.
Who's that?
I went in a whole different direction.
Is it Guillermo? You know who I'm talking about? Guillermo's the guy that's on the talk show with Jimmy, not Fallon, Jimmy, the other one on ABC. Jimmy,
you're not saying Jimmy Fallon, right? Like
no, not Fallon, the other one. Now it's gonna bug me. Guillermo was on. Guillermo's the guy that comes in and does like funny interviews and things like that. Jimmy Kimmel. There we go. Jimmy Kimmel.
there you go. Yeah, that guy.
Guillermo is the guy that comes in and does like funny interviews with like celebrities and stuff like that. He was at the Super Bowl as the press as well, and he was asking questions to Jalen Hurts, and he's like, would you, or is it better to be the tush or the pusher? And Jalen Hurts was like, I don't call it that. I'm not gonna answer that question. It was so funny. What about you, Bill? Would you rather be the tush or the pusher?
On that note, I think we're done tonight. Just saying.
You're not gonna answer the question?
I don't think I want to be.
We already know. I had to pull that up. All right. Well, that's going to about do it for us tonight. We want to thank everybody that joined us in the chat. And make sure you check out all the other shows that are on the MHRT network. We have shows Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the neighborhood when football is on, or if the Avs make the playoffs, then we'll be doing the neighborhood as well. Cam has got his show coming up tomorrow. He does mainly Broncos. He's the main host of that one. And then Bronco Bill is actually going through a change with his show. There's not going to be a show this Friday, I don't think, right?
There will.
Okay. So
But
the
not
last
the 14th.
last episode of Broncos Breakdown is this coming Friday. And then we switch to a newly rebranded and logoed show
on the 21st.
on the 21st. So make sure you check that out. That's going to be fun as well. Again, we thank everybody for joining us. We love you all. We love the Broncos. Go Birds, because screw you, Chiefs. We don't want you to win nothing. And you're not allowed to get Cooper Kupp, ever. You can't have Cooper Kupp. I'm just going to leave it at that.
God bless Bo Nix.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flame out.